Well, hi everybody. Hope you're having a good Saturday evening, and we wanted to do a little bit of a little update here for you on the Facebook Live here. Thank you, Jacob, and to kind of let you know what's going on now and what you can expect for the rest of the night. Yes, sir. All right, thanks, Jacob. I appreciate it. I don't think I'm on anything though. So we're going to talk about what happened today. We're going to talk about um, you know what we can expect for the rest of the night, and what you can expect as you head into tomorrow. Um, for starters, we got really, really lucky today. Um, the storms that yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
So did you want 1 and 3 or 3:30 or?
Yeah, let's do first weather. Let's just go with like 1:30, and for main weather, let's just go 3:30. I'll be fine.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, sorry, I was communicating with my anchor here. So we got lucky today, and here's why. There was a big supercell that we actually had a couple supercells that formed. Both actually went on to produce tornadoes, but the one down to the south, down near Knox City, I think around maybe 3 o'clock, I think it's somewhere in that frame, it was really looking nasty. It was producing tornadoes. We had big tornadoes confirmed with it. The air out in front of it was untouched, and things were looking really bad. And I actually, at one point in time, was really kind of getting concerned about parts of like up there towards like Seymour. I was getting concerned about the Lake Kemp area, and then got concerned about Wichita County. Just got concerned about a lot of our areas because it was like I just knew that there was just nothing that was going to stop it. It was looking big. It was looking bad, but again, sometimes, even in the worst case scenarios, if one little thing is off in the atmosphere, then all of a sudden that winds up saving you. And our saving grace today was that the upper level winds were just not quite ideal to keep these thunderstorms more discreet or more by themselves. So what happened was, even though we had a really scary looking parameter down at the Earth's surface, and while those storms were supercells and able to take advantage of that, they were dangerous. But when they started to kind of interact with each other and they started lining up like this, then they still would try to spin, but they started just ingesting some of that rain-cooled air, some of those outflow boundaries from those other storms. And otherwise, we probably would have seen several tornado-producing storms today. But thankfully, the way those lines wound up developing, that wasn't the case. So here's what's going on now, though. We still got we've still got a couple things here that I'm watching here at this hour. Number one, I want you to notice we do got new tornado warnings now out over here along I-35, and these are more discrete supercells that have developed there along I-35. Now, some of these are over in the eastern Monte County, but most of these are kind of there along I-35, and they're moving more to the north. Now, I'm not going to lie, folks. The atmosphere is super prime for any storm that can remain rooted in the surface of the Earth, can remain closer down to the Earth's surface. These things are going to produce tornadoes. The wind shear is absolutely through the roof. And if these storms can remain what we call surface-based, then they're going to produce tornadoes over here close to I-35. There's going to be some. There's one now northwest of Ardmore. There's one south of Ardmore. That's where your tornado warnings are. And if you look at the velocity scans in this, they're kind of on the edge of the radar here, but all of these storms over here are rotating. They're spinning like a top. So there's your tornado warning there west of Ardmore and kind of headed towards Pauls Valley. That is out of our viewing area. There's another storm more over towards Tishomingo that's also rotating, and that too will probably get some tornado warnings. You've got another tornado warning there kind of south of Norman. Now, the storm that is south of Norman, that's the same one that produced those little weak spin-ups there down near Randelette and Duval earlier. But, that storm's still spinning, but it doesn't appear to be producing anything major. Any tornadoes that we've seen with that have been very, very weak and brief. Now we go down here into the bulk of our area, and this is that line of storms. And once again, we're very lucky that this is a line of storms now because, like I say, if we were dealing with individual supercells, we'd be in trouble. But you can see the outflow boundaries. Look at that. You can see that little blue area that's out ahead of it. That's rain-cooled air that these storms back here produce. You can see it. It's right in there. So what happens is this air that's out here that would normally be feeding these thunderstorms, the warm, moist air, it cuts it off. So instead of these storms ingesting warm, moist thunderstorm air and able to continue to spin throughout all layers of the atmosphere, even down at the Earth's surface, and produce tornadoes, you got rain-cooled air that's sitting right in here. So you no longer have access to this good air out here. Now these supercells do, because they're by themselves. They haven't bunched up into a line yet, so they're able to spin and continue to take advantage of that. But these storms out here are getting cut off by that outflow boundary, because the winds behind it are more like this, and this air here is cool. So these storms are no longer ingesting this warm air, but instead they're just feeding off of some air aloft that's unstable. But at the Earth's surface, it's no longer unstable. So we got lucky today, and the fact that everything lined out as quickly as it did, because if not, we would have definitely have dealt with several tornadoes today. And I do believe that these storms that are over here in south central Oklahoma, along 35, just east of Monte County, I do believe that as long as those can remain discreet, they're going to have a potential to produce some tornadoes over that way. But I think that the tornado threat over our area, and I'm talking about northwest Texas and southwest Oklahoma, is greatly reduced. What you can expect to see overnight tonight, these thunderstorms that are kind of still have some of this supercellular looks to them, they'll continue to move north there, kind of out ahead of that line along Interstate 35. So there's still a bit of a threat as long as there's those supercells there, maybe north of the Metroplex, and I would even include Monte County, Ardmore, along I-35. But what we're going to see happen, though, for the most of our area is this line of thunderstorms is going to continue to kind of drift a bit. Oh, whoops, I didn't want to do that. Wanted to continue to kind of drift a bit, and they're going to drift over kind of like this overnight tonight. And you'll probably see another little wave kind of come out down here and kind of move east as well. So while it's stormy here now, I do expect in time the greater threat for severe weather around and after midnight to shift into these areas over here. The main threat that we are dealing with this line of thunderstorms is going to be heavy rain, flooding, maybe some gusty winds. There will be perhaps maybe a bout or two of some mostly small hail in them. And if we can get any storms that can kind of jump out ahead of those outflow boundaries, or those parts of the line can kind of get out ahead of those outflow boundaries, then you might see a brief spin up. But as of right now, I think the tornado threat with that line is going to be very, very low. But, you know, you may have a bit of an increased tornado threat with any of these supercells over here, but that's mostly out of our area. I can also kind of look down to the south, and, you know, you really don't have anything south of there either. You know, you do see one supercell just west of Abilene, and if that were able to make it further north, if that line of storms weren't there, and that supercell that's down near Sweetwater were able to move into our southwestern counties, and it would have a high potential to produce a tornado, but it's going to merge with that line, and it's going to hit on those outflow boundaries here pretty soon. So I don't think that that's going to be the case. And you can even see there's your extensive line. So here's what you got. This is your upper level dynamics kicking out here. This is your main storm center. There's your little boundary, and we got a little bit of a front right in there, and you know, that's going to push all this stuff to the east overnight tonight. Mostly going to be a wind, heavy rain, smaller hail, and maybe a couple spin-up type tornadoes. Your better chance of anything significant tornado-wise would come with any of these supercells. And as of now, I think the best chances for that would be kind of over into maybe here, just out of our viewing area. So Ardmore, you're in that. Sherman, maybe just west of Sherman. You know, watch out for the next several hours as those supercells lift north until that line can catch up to it. Now, line catches up to it, it'll greatly diminish that threat. But as long as those supercells can keep going out ahead of that line, they're going to have the chance to really take full advantage of all that twist and all that energy that's in the atmosphere over here and feed those things. So those are the ones that we're going to watch those. Of course, again, that's out of my viewing area. There's also tornado warnings all the way up in Illinois tonight. Illinois and Indiana and Ohio have been the areas that have really been hit hard this spring. But by morning, those storms will be out of here, and I do expect a much better day for Sunday. A much better day for Sunday. So once again, you know, I feel like that I did pull the trigger on a higher end severe weather day based upon the ceiling of it. You know, I did say that there were some some question marks that could prevent it from being more significant. If you're watching me this morning, I talked about how if it wound up being a situation where it lines out real quickly, that would diminish our tornado threat. We had to keep them supercells, and the supercells were there. They just didn't persist long enough for the bigger tornado threat to realize itself. But there was tornado in Knox City and down to the west of Seymour. There were some tornadoes. That was a big one down there too. We actually got video of it. It's hard to see it because it's hard to see tornadoes today with all the haze in the sky and all of the rain wrapness of a lot of those storms. It's hard to see it. So let's see here if we got any questions popping up here tonight. All right, so we got people wanting to know, what about Graham? Well, Graham, you're okay for right now, but there's going to be these severe thunderstorms are going to eventually move over your way. These are going to be what we call outflow dominant thunderstorms when they get there, okay? So if we stop this from moving, you can see the outflow boundaries. Every one of them have done this today. They produce what's called cold pools, and that's what you're seeing. So there's your outflow boundary. And these are going to continue to slowly move into this direction. I don't see any supercells developing out ahead of it in this area, so that's good. So you continue to have it move just like that. And then you're going to have this line gradually build to the east. But I don't think it gets into Graham, midnight maybe. But the threat there again will be heavy rain, flooding, small hail, and maybe some gusty winds. The tornado threat will be low at that part of the line. Now, if this thunderstorm over here, this supercell that's over here to the west of Abilene, if it could somehow or another remain in the clear air for a little while longer and not hit those outflow boundaries, and that would be a tornado potential cell for us. But I just don't think that that's going to happen. I think that that's going to hit these outflow boundaries and then merge with those storms, and it's going to get undercut too. This line of storms down to the south of Graham here too, all this area here is going to make its way over just like this. So overnight tonight, you're going to see it kind of look like that, kind of look like that, kind of look like that. Eventually, this will probably become some pretty big wind producers down in here, I think. So after midnight in Graham, heavy rain, little gusty wind, maybe some flooding. Next several hours, these supercells over here, as long as they remain discrete, could produce tornadoes. That's mostly out of our viewing area, kind of over there along I-35. And what's coming through Wichita Falls now is just heavy rain and some flooding. And that is it, really. I don't think I have my flooding icons turned on here. Let me see. No, they're on. So, Oklahoma City, there's some, looks like observed tornado warnings up that way there. So let me look at the rotational velocities up there, up around Oklahoma City tonight. So you do see some rotation with that storm up towards Norman. And I'm sure the stations there in Oklahoma City are on wall-to-wall with it right now. But, you can look at that. This is the same one that's been moving through Oklahoma tonight, and that's mostly just broad rotation with that. It is not a major tornado there, but it's been producing periodic little brief spin-ups along the way, and that's why that observed tornado warning is there for the Norman Moore area. That's going to kind of move just east of Oklahoma City, west of Shawnee, some of those areas that normally get it up there. It doesn't look too bad, but there could be some brief stuff up that way. And looks like the rotation is pretty good on those storms there, kind of along I-35. But that's really it for really tornadoes, I think. I just don't think that storm mode is everything, and it don't matter what you have as far as violent atmosphere, whatever or not. You really need supercells for that to be the case. So somebody wants to know about Jack County. It looks like to me that these storms here are going to continue to kind of move up this direction here. And this line will continue to slowly kind of drift east. But it looks still after midnight before those lines move into Jack County. And your threat over there, once again, same as we've been talking about, downpours, small hail, and some gusty winds. Any tornado threats will probably be reduced to quick spin-ups, I would think. You know, those storms, the storms really haven't made it into Henrietta yet. That, you know, the line itself, it's kind of oriented from the northeast to the southwest, and oftentimes when that happens, it causes the line to slow down some, and you're seeing the outflow boundary push out ahead of it now, and you know, you'll probably see that outflow boundary pushing through Henrietta shortly. And then it could still be a while before those storms make it into Henrietta. It could be, you know, well after 10 or 11 o'clock before you get storms over that way. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But Henrietta, for right now, you're okay. And again, we have so far today have dodged a bullet. It looks like, yes, as far as severe weather goes, I think Lawton is in the clear. Yes, Lawton, you're good. Yes, it's safe to go to sleep and crawl. Those storms are now well southeast of you. I don't think you'll see anything build up your way. If you do, maybe a shower, but I think the severe threat is pretty much over with there. Yes, Garrett, it's safe to go to sleep in Bowie, but you know, you do got some thunderstorms around, and it's going to get pretty noisy there in the early in the morning hours there, well after midnight. So, yeah, you got storms headed your way in Nakona. Yeah, this is good sleeping weather, I think. This is great sleeping weather. Yeah, no chance for a tornado in Wichita Falls now. No chance. I'm going to put us in the tornado clear here. McGargle, yeah, I think so. Good to go to sleep in Ringling. I think so. So, yeah, I do believe so. I think you're good there. Yeah, the tornadic supercells are east of you. I think you're fine. I'm just scrolling around looking at some stuff real fast. Boy, we needed this rain though, guys. Tornado threat for Bowie. Well, I'm not going to take Bowie out of that threat, but the behavior of the storms is everything, and the behavior of these storms is such that I don't believe the tornado threat in Bowie is particularly high now. You really need those supercells, and those supercells have developed east of you, and that's where they're going to probably stay. And that line, as it comes into your area, will mostly just be heavy rain with it overnight tonight. There could be something brief in it, but right now I'm not too worried about it. Bourbonnette, just some heavy rain over you now. Nothing to be too concerned with. Alney, safe to go to bed? Well, yeah, you're safe to go to bed, but it's going to get loud there with some thunderstorms later on tonight. You know, there will be. You hadn't got the storms yet. That line's going to slowly make its way down towards you, and it's going to get loud. Thunder, lightning, and heavy rain, those areas, okay? But tornado threats are very, very low. Now, I can't take Nakona completely out of that, but, you know, your threat is not super high. There's some tornadic supercells trying to develop east of you along I-35, but that is east of Nakona. And it's really east of St. Joe. So I think Nakona's going to be okay, but the thunderstorms will get to you later tonight, and you're going to get some heavy rain there, so it's coming. Just give it a little time. It will get there, though, for sure. But I think the tornado threat, that line is pretty low. Like after 1:30 a.m.? You know, you're going to hit some heavy rain, but other than that, I think you'll be all right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Holly. Yeah, I got a good team here with me now. With Cameron, he was out today chasing, and Jaden was here in the studio here, and we had the whole news team in. I can't take credit for it myself. We had a good team effort today by the entire news department and weather department. No, you know, I really hadn't looked at the weather for next week, but stuff that I had looked at before suggests that while we might see some thunder showers, some springtime-like thunder showers, it looks to me like the jet stream energy kind of weakens some next week. I don't think we're done with severe weather season, but it looks like we could see a bit of a weaker jet stream next week, and that would mean less of a chance for severe weather. So, thank you, Teresa. Yep, 62. That's what it does. It makes it cool. Yeah, I think Henrietta's okay to go to bed, but remember, you are going to get some loud thunderstorms. That's not going to go away. That's still going to be something you're going to deal with. Okay, you're going to still deal with that. But and you're going to deal with heavy rain. If you live in a flood-prone area, you can see some flooding overnight tonight. But I just believe that the tornado threat with this line that continues to slowly drift east is going to be very, very low. In fact, I don't even see severe thunderstorm warnings along it anymore. So today's bark was certainly much worse than its bite. Now, these supercells over here, they can still produce, but they're out of our viewing area. You know, and that would be like the Ardmore area, Hoover, those areas over that way. My good buddy Todd Rasmussen, he covers those storms over there near Ardmore. He's a good source. He's a meteorologist, too. He's a good source of watching weather over that way. Good dude, too. So, but those are supercells, and those do have rotation in them. You know, if those were over us and this was that line was west of us, and I'd be worried about us still, so. Well, I was a little worried today for a little while there, Wendy. I really was, but you know things calmed down, and I was able to pull let off the accelerator some there and put a pump on the brake. So, yeah, the tornado threat, Raven, the tornado threat for Albany is low. Yes, safe to put the kids to sleep there in Iowa Park. Yes, you are in the clear of a tornado the rest of the night, Caitlin. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. His name is Todd Rasmussen. He's a good guy over there, and I don't know what his page is called, but he's a no nonsense kind of anti-hype weather guy, kind of like myself, and he does a good job of kind of calling it like you see it. So I like him. He's an Ardmore. All right, so over in Wise County right now there are no tornado threats in Wise County, but there is this little band of cellular activity that it keeps on taking off over there just north of you. So as of right now, I'm going to say no about that in Wise County. These supercells will continue moving north up towards Ardmore, but I think in time, and I don't see storms developing to your south, but in time, late tonight, this line will get to you probably early tomorrow morning, and that will be probably closer to sunrise or before there, pre-dawn hours, before the Wise County area would get in on anything. Not tornadic, it's just going to be heavy rain with strong wind gust over there. Well, Jenny, I think you're all right tonight. I like the way the storm mode has become. We're not really dealing with a lot of supercells, even in Nakona. Now I would say that these storms over near Ardmore are pretty nasty looking thunderstorms. That's some pretty. There's a bunch of them, so they're kind of clustering up, and just kind of like what happened, with our severe weather type of situation here. You need them to remain discreet before they really start trying to produce any. Significant tornadoes or anything like that, and there's rotation on those storms over there, and a lot of twist in the environment, and I would say that the highest tornado threat probably that I see tonight would be with any of these supercell storms over here across south central to east central Oklahoma. So I would think your tornado threat is mostly going to be with any of this activity over in this area here, which that is east of Nakona, east of Bowie, well east of Wichita Falls, east of Graham, east of Jacksboro, kind of northeast of the Decatur area, north of the Metroplex. But these have the potential because they have chances to stay rotating supercells, but if they merge, and when they merge with these lines, that's when it begins to go down. So any hail here in Wichita Falls will just be small pea-sized kind of hail. And as a matter of fact, I haven't seen hardly any of that. So flooding, I honestly think flooding's a bigger concern now in Wichita Falls. I really do. I believe flooding's the main concern. And this is getting in our watershed, and the watershed had good rain a couple nights ago, and I think this is what's going to, our lakes are going to be filling up with this. No, tornadic activity. I'm not worried about tornadic activity in Albany. Like I say, you're going to get noisy storms there, but the outflow domination of these thunderstorms, and by that it means it's not able to pull warm, ingest warm, moist air because it's pushing the rain-cooled air out ahead of it. So I think that Albany's going to be just fine. So, yeah, after midnight, Graham gets into the storminess there. But, we'll watch. If any of these storms over this way can try to become supercellular, that's when you worry about them. But, and if these had more time right in there, I would worry about them a little bit more. But I just believe that the outflow boundaries are going to catch up with these storms before they have a chance to really get going. So that's why I'm not too worried about it. I think Ardmore, though, needs to be watching that storm there a little bit. That's kind of a little suspicious over that way. All right. Well, I've got to get ready for the newscast, so what I'm going to do is I'm about to jump off, and once again, I do appreciate you guys on our Facebook Live pages and watching us, keeping up with the weather on News Channel 6. Very much appreciate you. I'm glad things turned out better than they potentially could have. You know, I'm not one that likes to scare you, and I pray and hope I didn't scare you today. I feel bad about even pushing the button, but I felt like I just needed to do it. And hopefully, you know, this isn't one of those cry wolf syndromes, because I'm certainly not one of those kind of guys. So anyway, I'm getting ready for the newscast. I think the rest of the night will be okay. I'll try to do another little live update before I leave the station here tonight and go home. But we'll be keeping an eye on it. Cameron is here with me. I just let Jaden go home a minute ago, but we'll be keeping an eye on things here from the fort. But in the meantime, y'all have a great night. Sleep good. And again, tornado threats across our area have greatly been diminished. And I'm not going with 0, but I'm going with the lower category for the rest of the night. All right, everybody, I'm jumping off here and getting ready for the newscast, and I will have another update before I go